Kitty. Whoops, sorry. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Life with Charlene. I am going to be talking about episode 3 from the ages of 10 years old to 15 years old. Last week, we touched the part about me being bullied in school and my mom maybe having some mental health issues, and that's why I don't remember a lot about her when I was younger. Well, let's see. Do we have anybody in the chat? We got one. Hi, whoever you are, say hi to me so I can say hi back to you. I think I know who it is, but I'm not going to say anything. Anyway, okay, so my dad, and you guys know I have my notes. I keep my notes because I don't want to miss anything. Okay, so my dad and mom were separated because of the incident that I talked about in episode 2. And so my dad, he convinced my mom, that it would be better if they raised us together and if we moved out of the city and moved into more of a country setting with him. And so it worked. And so my dad convinced her to move out of the city and into the country. At this time, I was 12 years old and I was just finishing up 6th grade. And then we moved to Belleville, Michigan. Now, I am extremely happy that we moved at that time, because had we not moved, I would have been going to what was called Joy Junior High or whatever. And I heard it was a really bad school, and it probably would have really messed me up for the rest of my life to go to that school and just, be with the people who were bad and mean and probably got bullied and maybe hurt or something, So that was a good move. And that's, I guess, how my dad played it. So my mom would move with him by saying, the same thing I'm saying, that it was a better move for us to get out of the city. So we moved to Belleville, and we only stayed there for a few months, about 5 months. But I met somebody in that 5-month span who would become a major part of my life. So let me tell you how I met my first husband, or I should say my future husband. I met him in 7th grade, which is what grade I was in when we moved here. And I went to the school for, I think, 3 months. And I met him in 7th grade. And one day we had a movie day where we had to come to each other's class. So his class came to my class, and he sat next to me, but he kept scooting really close to me. And I kept looking at him and telling him to scoot over. You're getting too close to me. And so I guess that just thrilled him. So after the movie was over and we went to our other classes, he followed me to my locker. And he was like, let's rap. And I was like, rap what? Because the way I was raised, we were not allowed to use street words or whatever they were called. We couldn't, it was so many words we couldn't say growing up, which I think is a good thing, because we never heard all that cursing and stuff. That was not allowed in our house. We couldn't say but. We had to say behind. We couldn't say pee. We had to say we had to go to the bathroom. Nobody needed to know whether you go on 1 or 2, We couldn't say lie. There were so many words as a kid that we could not say growing up. So when he said, let's rap, I said, rap what? I didn't know what he was talking about. And he's like, are you serious? You don't know what rap means? I said, yeah, you rap something. I know like that. Is that what you're talking about? You want to rap something? He was like, oh, whatever, you square or whatever, So that was my first impression of who would be my future baby daddy. So out there in Belleville, we did have livestock. We had pigs, which we had to feed. And our neighbors, they had a horse, and that was my first time riding a horse. And they put me on that horse with no saddle. So while I was on the horse, they hit the horse's hind quarters and it took off and I fell off. So that was my first experience riding a horse. So after we moved, we left that house. We stayed in that house for about 5 months. I don't know. From what I recall, it was something about my dad didn't have to pay rent if he fixed it or whatever. And so I guess it didn't work out between him and the guy, or him and the landlord. So we moved, even though that was a really nice house. And me and my brother finally had our own bed that we shared, that we had of our own. Because when we lived in Detroit, I actually slept with my mother. And my younger brother slept with my older brother. So this was our first time having our own separate beds where we didn't sleep with somebody. So we moved to Milan, and we moved to a pretty nice house. And it had a piano in it, which my mom would play. And in this house, we had, again, I guess my dad, let's see, did my dad have pigs when we first moved here? I don't know. But anyway, we used to visit my father in Belleville before we moved to Belleville. So we kind of knew what it was like. And so we had animals. And in this house, we had some pigs that we took care of. And then my dad, I don't know why he bought us rabbits. I had one, I think it was named Puff. And my brother had one named Snowball or something. But they ended up having babies, and they dug holes and came up out of the holes, and the dogs destroyed them all. So we had them for a little bit, but after that, and you could hear them, they screamed. I didn't know rabbits screamed. So one day, my mom was acting really strange. She was talking loud, wanting to fight, and this was something I had never seen before. I mean, I saw her once when I was little. I remember hearing her kind of yell at a teacher or somebody telling about our last name. But she was, just really mean. And this was the first time that my younger brother and I had ever witnessed her in this condition. So now at this time, I'm understanding why, as I got older, I understood why I didn't see her much. She was in a hospital. And she was diagnosed, I don't know if I mentioned it, as having schizophrenia, but I think it was bipolar. But, this is one of those family secrets that you don't talk about. We never talked about it. It was just something we never talked about. We just watched out for it, but we never talked about it. And so she was in and out of the hospital because they could never get her on the right medication, or she would take it and then she would stop taking it. So we had to do a lot of things at that time to try and keep her okay, because she wanted to kick out windows. She wanted to fight us. So we ended up tying her up, and I had to try and feed her and bathe her. And I'm 12 years old, 13 years old. I didn't know what to do. This is my mom. How am I taking care of my mom like this, And my dad, he definitely didn't know what to do. So I don't know how we ended up getting her to a hospital. And I think it was a hospital in Wayne, Michigan. But anyway, at some point, they had a therapy session. And all the family had to come to that therapy session. I remember we were there. And the one thing I remember them asking me was my father an alcoholic? And I didn't know what an alcoholic was. So I said no. And, I don't think he was. He didn't drink all the time. But I said no. And then my older brother, the one who had been, stuck in another episode, I told you about that. He just blew up and just really started yelling and was upset and didn't want to be there. I mean, he was 19, 20 at this time, and he didn't live with us anymore, and so he could really go after, and get upset with my father because of what had happened before. So that's what I remember from that. But let's see. These are just, really traumatic memories that I remember as a child. And I'm just really, this is therapy for me to be getting all this stuff out and to air it out, to just get it out of my mind, thoughts, and put it out there. And, it just makes me, it's given me a reason to know why I am the way I am, and things that may have happened to me that make me feel the way I do, So we, like I say, we didn't talk about it, and we just kept an eye on my mom to make sure she was eating and sleeping, because those were triggers. The minute she stopped sleeping, that was first. When she would be up all night, that was definitely a clue. The second one is if she didn't want to eat. If she stopped eating, that was another clue. So she was working during this time, and my dad would have to take her to work and pick her up from work. And I don't know who went to school first. But I know I would always have to go over to my neighbor's house and stay at their house to catch the bus. And we got to be great friends, and I got to be great friends with their parents and everything. And so it was always nice to go over their house and see them in the mornings. They were great people. So let's see, by this time I'm going into, I finished 7th and 8th grade. Now I'm going into the 9th grade, and my mom, during the time, this is when my mom was having one of her episodes, as we called them. And so she was nowhere around while I was getting ready to go into 9th grade. So my sister had to help me, go school shopping, get all my stuff for school and everything. And my mom wasn't there. So, and also during this time, we moved to another house down the street from where we were living. It was a really raggedy house, and it was an old rundown house, but we made it a home. So here is a picture of me at 12 years old. Can you guys see that? That's me. Look at those thick eyebrows. 12 years old. Skinny. And so this was me in 7th grade. I love that shirt. I love my hair swooped over. I was able to do my own hair at that time. And this is a picture of me and my sister. Look at that flat belly, but look at that silly smile on my face. That was the ending of 9th grade right there. But let's see. Starting high school was really difficult. My mom wasn't there. And my dad, he was, I don't know, my dad was, I can't even, he was a good father while we were little. As we got older, he was mean. But I mean, whatever. I didn't pay him too much attention after that. But he would let me drive his car. I didn't have a driver's license, but I would always get the car. And when I got the car, I would tell the boy next door to let's go racing, because he get his dad's car or whatever. I get my dad's car, and we'd take off racing. And we were racing down the road. We could have easily killed ourselves. You know that? We could have easily been destroyed. But this is my 9th grade picture, you guys. That's me in ninth grade. You can see my tooth. I smiled. I was so mad, and the guy caught me with. You can see the space in my tooth. Yeah, I look happy, but I was not happy in ninth grade. So my mom came back home, and she didn't drive. She was working though, and she had a good job and everything, and she wanted to learn how to drive. And my dad, he tried to teach her, but he was not the best teacher for her because he made her nervous. She was already nervous to drive, and here he is making it even worse for her, to learn how to drive. So I ended up helping her to learn how to drive a car. And my dad worked, he was like the ticket taker at the skating rink, and we'd go skating. And I remember one time my dad brought a pair of skates home. He wanted to learn how to skate. Here he is, almost 60 something years old, trying to learn to skate for the first time. He fell, banged his head, and that tickled us to death, But my father was a very active father. He was actually like a big kid. And there were times when, as a child, I can remember he would cook us breakfast. I could hear him and my mom laughing so hard. She would just be cracking up at something silly he was talking about or saying. And, I remember he would make us omelets. And back then, and he could cook. My father was a great cook, believe it or not. He wasn't the cleanest cook, which I learned later. But at the time, growing up, he cooked very well, and it was always good, and he always cooked. I mean, my mom cooked sometimes, but she didn't cook as much as him because I think she was actually working. And my father, he didn't work. He didn't have a regular job. He cut hair and sold liquor out of the house, which I don't think he was supposed to be doing that, but he did. And speaking of that, I used to take a little liquor sometimes. I don't know what I would put it in, and I would take it with me to school, and me and a friend, we would put it in our pop and drink it. So we get a little tipsy during ninth grade. So ninth grade, I guess, was a rebellious time for me. I didn't know what was going on. But I still was very naive about so many things because, I had older brothers and sisters, but because they were so much older than me, I didn't get to see anything that they were doing, and they didn't get to see anything I was doing because they were adults living their own life, And so we didn't get to see all that stuff. But I remember in ninth grade, I think that's when I tried smoking cigarettes. I want to say I tried marijuana in ninth grade also. But I can't remember. I know I tried it and I didn't like it because, yep, it was because a friend of mine, we would try it. And I remember one time we were riding bikes and we were with this one guy and we were smoking it while we were riding the bikes. And I guess I really got high. And I ran home because she was like, let's go home because you always act good when you get home. I went upstairs, and next thing you know, I come screaming down the stairs telling my mom and dad I was high. I smoked some weed and this and that. And my dad, I was like, help me, please, somebody help me. And my mom, she didn't know what to do. We were outside. My daddy was like, let her die, let her die. That's what she get. That's why I say he was so mean. And so my mom was like, get her some water, get her some water. And so I finally came down. But whew, that was crazy. And yeah, so I'm not no pothead, that's for sure. I'll leave that stuff alone. But and what else? Some other things. We had a lot of I got pictures of our puppies. Let's see. We used to have a lot of little puppies because our dogs, none of them were spayed or neutered. So that's one of the sets of puppies we got. Just a bunch of them behind the fence. And they stayed outside. And my dad wouldn't let them come in the house. Ooh, water. But we definitely grew up in the country, and we had pigs, we had chickens, and we had got some pigs, and I named one of them Bruce, and he was such a big old fat something. I'm gonna find a picture of me showing him, getting him to lay down because he was really smart. And then the other one was Barbara Ann. She wasn't all that smart. And my sister just thought it was hilarious that we had trained the hogs to sit and lay down. But yeah, I personally, with all, you hear the things I say that have happened to me, happened with with my mom, happened with my dad, and we grew up very, very poor, and like I say, we were always in a rental home. We never had a home that was ours. They were old houses, you know. And so, but I can never say anything bad because my parents did the best they could with what they knew. My mom, I don't know, I think she made it to high school, but she didn't finish. And I guess I was like an inspiration or something for her because she actually finished her GED while I was in high school. So she did finish her GED. She had a good job. And, there was just nothing that I can complain about with my childhood up to, as we're getting up into the 15, age 15, 10 to 15, it was good. We had fun. We played. Like I said, there was no type of essay. I was going to say that. There was none of that. I was a good, innocent girl growing up who had not had any type of problems. But one time I remember this guy, guys would come over our house on Sunday to get liquor because, nobody sold liquor on Sundays, but my father did because he was doing it illegally. I can say that now because he can't get in trouble. He's been gone for years. But yeah, so so he sold liquor on Sundays. But it was this guy, and I remember I was riding my bike one day, and he told me to come over to the car. I went over to the car, and I don't remember exactly what he said to me, but I went straight in the house, and I told my mom that he said something to me, that he shouldn't have said, and I don't remember what it was. But my mom told my dad, don't let that man come back in this house. I don't want him near my house. And you need to curse him out for talking to your daughter that way. For some reason, my father did not believe my mom or believe me. But he never let the guy come back to the house anymore. But that was the only incident that I had of somebody when I was a young kid, saying or doing anything inappropriate. I was a very well protected child, very well protected, and so all the way up until the age of 15, I was very innocent, very good, and just enjoying life. I was such a tomboy. I was always climbing trees, riding bikes. We would go and ride bikes in this wooded area where they had trails, and we would jump logs. We would, me and my brother, we used to walk on stilts. I still can't believe we made stilts and walked on them. That was so much fun. And what else? We made go-karts and we would race the go-karts. We could roller skate. That's something I want to go roller skating so bad. I'm just scared. My legs won't hold up. But I would love to go roller skating. And I may try it. I might just use the bar and hold myself up just to make sure I don't fall. But I would love to go roller skating. And just I had a great childhood. It's nothing I can complain about. I mean, and there was another thing that I find was like a family secret. Do you guys, if you can think of anything in your family that was a secret, such a hidden secret, my one thing I had was that my cousin, it was my aunt's daughter, and we called her aunt. It's like, why did we call her aunt? Because she was an only child and she wanted to be an aunt, but she could never be an aunt. So we had to call her auntie. And I didn't realize she was my cousin for the longest time. It's like, that's your cousin, not your aunt. I'm like, well, why are we calling her aunt? But it's too late by then. It's stuck, It's like, you're not going to change calling me auntie now just because you found out the truth. But there are so many hidden secrets in families that you don't know about, And my family had some, and those will be coming up in my next episode. So this was a short episode. Nothing exciting really happened. Well, I'll take that back. I got more into the mental health issues of my mom and things that were going on there. And it was really embarrassing, to feel like something was wrong with my mother. But I never, ever looked at my mom any different because of what I knew what happened to her. I never looked at her any different or anything, but for some reason it was a shamefulness that we knew not to talk about to other people. I never ever told anybody. Growing up as a child, I never mentioned it to my friends that my mom might have, well, I don't even think they called it mental issues at that time. They just said crazy. She's crazy. There wasn't no, she's mentally challenged or she has mental issues. No, she's crazy. That was all we heard, crazy. So, but I'm going to go ahead and shut this down for now. And hopefully you guys will watch it and leave me a comment and let me know of some hidden secrets, hidden family drama in your family. And I appreciate you guys for even taking the time to listen or watch this video. Well, I guess watch it now since nobody came on my live. And I'm doing it live because I'm practicing, first of all. And then I just want to be able to talk, without feeling like I'm recording this right now. So it's a little different. But I hope you guys have a lovely evening, a great week. And we're going to come back next Thursday, which is the next Thursday at 7:00 for episode 4, ages 15 to 20. Now, this age right here, 15 to 20, was a lot happened to me in those 5 years. A lot. Things changed my life. So you guys come back next Thursday and we'll talk about some of the things that changed my life from the ages of 15 to 20. Okay? You guys stay safe, stay blessed, and I love you. Bye.